Welcome to Trey's Theory Corner!
What's up, gear mortals? Trey Xavier here, and on today's episode of Trey's Theory Corner, we're going to talk about sixths. Might not be the easiest interval to say, but they're actually pretty easy to play on the guitar, and we'll go over that a little bit in a minute. But first of all, we got to talk about the difference between minor sixths and major sixths. As is always the case, the major interval is larger than the minor interval. A major sixth being 9 half steps or 4.5 steps, and the minor sixth being 8 half steps or 4 total steps. Sixths are something you hear a lot in the blues and in country music and in like soul R&B kind of stuff, sound like this. Or in country. That kind of thing. Sixths invert to thirds, and of course, as we learned earlier, a major interval inverts to a minor interval, and vice versa. So minor sixths invert to major thirds, and major sixths invert to minor thirds. Because of this, we find sixths in inverted chords a lot of the time. So if we just take any old major triad, and root, major third, and fifth, and then we invert it by putting the bottom note on top, then there's a sixth right in there from the third to the root. So I know we haven't gone over inverting chords just yet, or chords at all, but it'll make sense when you get there. Both types of sixths are considered to be very consonant intervals. Here's the sound of a minor sixth, and here's a major sixth. Real nice. I find that diatonic sixths are really great for harmonizing your lead guitar lines, especially the faster ones, because they're inverted thirds, just like when you would harmonize in thirds like we talked about in the thirds interval video. Bands like Iron Maiden, In Flames, bands that use a lot of those tight, kind of fast little harmonies will sometimes use sixths in lieu of thirds, depending on the context. The shapes for sixths on the different sets of strings on the guitar are actually pretty easy to see and memorize, so I'm going to show you what they look like. So on 2 strings, for the minor sixth, we just go up 3 frets and up 1 string. And that of course works until we get to the set of strings of the G and the B. We got to make it 1 bigger. And then it works there again. If we want to stretch it to 2 strings, we just take this top note and move it up 1 string, and then we get this shape, which once we get across that G and B, looks like this, and it stays like that. So these are minor sixths. Okay. Now the major sixth is a bit larger, of course, by 1 fret. I'm going up 4 frets and up 1 string. A little bit of a stretch. Now, this is almost unfeasible, to be honest. This is like Alan Holdsworth territory, putting 5 frets in between your fingers, but you're welcome to try it. Then for the other shape of a major sixth, we take this note and we bump it up to the next string, and we get this kind of a shape, which might be a little confusing because when you get to here, this is now a minor sixth, and it looks the same, but just gonna have to remember that. So major sixth, and then it looks like this, which is a very convenient and easy shape to play on the guitar. You can play it with 2 fingers like this, and then what's cool is if you're playing a bunch of harmonized sixths that use major and minor sixths for different things, you can I just kind of switch back and forth between my 3rd and 1st finger for these kinds of things. And of course you can always just on 1 string count up 8 frets for a minor sixth, or 9 frets for a major sixth.
Don't ever forget the minor sixth. Don't you dare forget the minor sixth. Don't ever forget the minor sixth. Don't you dare forget the minor six, six, six. This is what a major six sounds like. Just invert a minor third. It's a really groovy interval. I don't give a fuck what you heard.
Alright guys, that's all I've got for sixths. Be sure to tune in again in 2 weeks, and we're in the home stretch. It's going to be the last interval that we're going to cover in this series, and that's sevenths. So thanks so much for watching, and I will see you very soon. First thing you got to think about when it comes to music theory. Number one, what the fuck is it? What the fuck is music theory? If you already know the answer, please don't shout it out, because you'll look like a crazy person at home by yourself. But really, in order for you to understand what you even need it for or why you should care, you got to know what it is. And before we go any further, I have to define what I think of music theory as for you, so that we can take this journey together to improve our musical knowledge and understanding.